I have chosen to provide a critical reflection on the expansion of my learning beyond or outside of my existing practice through the community-based storying and on how an understanding of the ethics and research and community perspectives can impact, improve, and support my ongoing practice going forward. My learning through the community-based storying. So this began with at the beginning by utilising the modules in the Massey portfolio to develop my understanding further around what a community story is. The main impact here was the depths that this goes to, being made aware that we are capturing history and the narratives that have come before, the values and common beliefs of the community, and giving the community of Akarai Area School a voice so they can all learn and develop a pathway forward with purpose. It was evident while being on this journey that not everyone had the same perspectives, points of view, and so for me it was important that each voice was heard and valued. This quote, taken from a module on the Massey portal from Sonia McFarlane, really resonated with me. We are here to serve the communities within which we work. Knowing our communities, understanding what is happening within them, and being aware of how particular things are impacting on those with whom we are working is important. Can help us to understand things that they value, their goals and aspirations, their challenges and the opportunities that exist for making change. This is something that I feel is so true in a way for us as RTLB to make changes. Another powerful aspect that resonated with me through the initial process was that we sit as manahiri, a visitor within the spaces we go into, and that we need to sit and listen as a visitor. This really hits home when I visit staff rooms, when having cases that I don't frequent so much, and having the feeling that I need to just listen and find out the vibe or the culture of that certain kura. I'm very lucky to have our kura as one of my liaison kuras, so that my relationship was closer to begin with, as I have worked hard on understanding the culture and have been welcomed into classrooms and conversations by Kayako since 2024. Capturing voice. Last year, we did a lot of study around gathering voice, and it has become a passion of mine. How can we authentically gather Mokopuna voice and share that so that they feel heard? But this storying process has given me more to think about. It has made it even clearer that we need to gather the voices that sometimes aren't heard, and this highlighted that I need to look at how to collect Kayako voice more effectively. And I want to look at how going forward I can collect Kayako, Mokopuna and whānau voice as one. Studying the Laura Lundy's model was influential in my understanding how important it is to create a safe space where everyone feels that their voice is heard and actioned upon, making sure I have the right audience with me to share their voice, and then having this voice having an influence on where to next. For me, going forward, I want to keep working on those spaces and audiences after my initial hui within my casework, so that the collecting voice doesn't just happen at the initial huis and the intervention meetings. So, how an understanding of ethics and research and community perspectives can impact, improve and support my ongoing practice going forward? New learning for me was around the complexities of ethics and research. As RTLB, I feel I understand consent and informed consent, but when I dug deep into the ethics of consent, this was a whole new world of information, making sure that research passes the CRUP test, then the considerations around the ethics of completing surveys and interviews, making sure of autonomy, providing this for participants, making questions unambiguous, avoidance of harm, having a special relationship with the kura as liaison, and making it clear that there be no prejudice regardless of participation, and then making sure the story sovereignty and personal bias are thought about within a tight time frame. This has been overwhelming, but also a good learning experience for me. One aspect that I haven't yet had time to do is having time for the principal and Kayako to look over my findings before submission. I am scheduled to do this on Wednesday, so that part will happen. Learning about research. I use the Massey database to search for published perspectives and will continue to use this as a resource going forward in my mahi. Found it very useful to gather a variety of published perspectives and then gather the voices and see where they intersect. This is now, to me, This is how, new to me, as I usually within my mahi would gather the voices and then see the intersections. But going forward, I'm going to also set time aside to gather some more research to support the mahi I'm doing in the classrooms in Kura I work in, as I believe it gives my mahi more validity and also allows me to share the most current and relevant research with kaiako, who are time poor and may not have the time and energy to do this research themselves. Finally, how has my mahi changed? Well, I now have to consider how to collect all voices and balance this for all. This will fit really well into my quality practice, the importance of collecting and authentically sharing ākonga and whānau voice, and I believe this is a strength I have. Also, my mahi changes with my assumptions and how we can make assumptions without noticing about what the story is and what may be the supports that can be put in place. This has been a privilege to journey so far with Akaroa, and I can't wait to see the impact and change we can make. I know this is just the start of a long pathway forward, and I am so pleased that I've been asked to support in a tiny way to enable kaiako to feel empowered for their mokopuna so that the education sector can support all learners on their journey.